Hello, dear traveler. You've arrived just in time for the gentlest part of the day, when the world hums low and soft, and the river wears a shawl of silver fog. Before we step aboard, let's greet the morning together. Take a slow breath in through the nose, as if you're drawing in the cool scent of wet wood and clean water. Hold it for a moment, only a moment, and let it ease out through your mouth like a small lantern flame flickering and relaxing. Again, in and out. The river helps. It always does. The boat is small and well loved. Her paint is the soft cream of old porcelain, with a thin blue line that traces her shape from bow to stern. Her name is written along the side in hand-brushed letters, Morning. The word carries a music of its own, light and steady, a promise more than a label. When you step onto the deck, the wood yields a fraction under your weight and then holds you patient and sure. Ropes rest in neat coils. A small brass bell hangs by the wheel, quiet for now. At the wheel stands Captain Ansel, a man in the gentler autumn of life. He wears a pale wool sweater and a cap that has seen years of sunrise. His beard is the color of salt, trimmed close and tidy. There is nothing loud about him. He speaks as if he is answering the river, and the river prefers calm replies. "Welcome aboard," he says, the words a warm thread in the cool air. "Today we ride the soft light. The fog is thin as linen, you'll see." His eyes tip toward the water's skin, where the fog is not one piece, but many drifting veils. We'll read the reflections. The river writes to anyone who listens. There are a few other passengers, each carrying a quiet purpose. Mira, who keeps a small notebook but rarely writes in it, stands near the stern with her hands wrapped around a clay mug. Tomas, a woodworker with smooth palms and careful eyes, sits on a low bench, the grain of the planks beneath him a comfort he doesn't put into words. A gentle nun with a sky-blue scarf, simply called Sister, watches the fog with the steady patience of someone who understands that time is not a race, but a river. Captain Ansel gives a small nod, and the morning loosens from the dock as if it has chosen on its own to drift away. There is no hurry. The rope sighs from the cleat. The boat moves with a hush, a barely there shh, like a hand smoothing bedsheets just before sleep. The water parts, closes, parts again, stitching the river back together behind them with a seam that disappears as soon as it's made. Breathe in. Feel the coolness on your cheeks, like a kiss from mist. Let your shoulders drop. Let your jaw slacken just a bit. You don't need to hold anything up. The boat will do that for you. Out, like fog leaving the bank. Look, the captain says after a while, not pointing yet, just offering the word. He wants people to find it on their own. Do you see how the fog is bright in one place and dim in another? The river writes with light and shadow. It tells you where it wants the boat to be. You lean over the side, not too far, just enough to see the way the water holds the sky in a trembling mirror. The reflections are not fixed. They shiver and settle. A swallow cuts a soft line across the surface, a scratch of ink that vanishes before your eyes. You see a patch of brightness where the fog thins, and a darker patch where the overhanging willow leans close, its thin leaves dangling like sleepy eyelashes. The captain turns the wheel only a fraction, guiding the morning toward the light. Mira pads forward for tea, and you can smell the leaf and honey before you see the steam. The kettle's lid makes a gentle tick, then rests again. Captain Ansel pours in silence, then offers a cup to anyone who wishes. The first sip is warm and not too sweet, the kind of taste that doesn't push, but invites. Breathing with the river helps, the captain says, his voice like a low bell. 4 in, hold for 2, 6 out. Let the longer exhale do the work. The water knows that everything returned becomes part of the whole. So you try it. In, 2, 3, 4, hold, 1, 2, and out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The boat answers your rhythm with a rhythm of its own, a gentle lift, a softer settle. You could imagine the morning has a chest that rises and falls too. You could imagine the fog listening, approving, loosening. An egret steps along a submerged log near the bank, each foot finding purchase with the care of a clockmaker. Beyond it, reeds whisper to one another, a sound more felt than heard. The sky is not quite blue yet. Everything wears the same pale silver, like a secret not yet told. The day is a shy guest who has not removed their coat. There is no one to rush it. Captain, Tomas says after a time, you say the river writes with reflections. What do you read when there's nothing to see? When the fog is thick and the light is thin? Then you read by sound, the captain replies, soft and simple, as if this has always been the answer. Listen to how the banks talk. Listen to how the current hums. Sound draws a map when sight is sleeping. He taps the rail with a knuckle, a small talk, and smiles. But today is for light. The morning glides past a bend where the trees lean in, branch to branch, making an archway. Leaves brushed with dew nod along with the boats passing. The damp earth smells of mushrooms and clean soil, a scent like a room that has just been swept. A fisherman on the far bank lifts his hand in a lazy greeting, and the captain returns it with 2 fingers from the wheel. No one feels the need to speak louder than the fog. "Do you ever hurry?" Mira asks, an honest question, no challenge in it. "Sometimes, when the sky is clear, the river asks for speed," the captain says. "But that is not most days. Today is a day for reading, for slow, for small." He inhales as if to prove his point, holds, and lets it go. When you read the water, it reads you back. It lightens what you carry. You watch the surface again. The reflections change with the smallest movement. A pale opening appears, an oval of light where the sky thins, and the captain draws the boat through as if fitting it into a keyhole. He calls this the door, and when the bow slides into that oval of brightness, you feel it in your chest the way you feel a yawn coming, a soft, irresistible drop. The world is still the world, but it's kinder now. The nun in the sky blue scarf hums a note under her breath, a single line that has no edges. The sound does not try to be music, it just is. It takes up no space, so there is plenty for your own breath. The fog thins a little more. Sunlight, not much, just a wash, finds the brass bell by the wheel and warms it, and though no hand touches it, you imagine you can hear a bell inside a bell. The idea of sound, round and quiet. Captain Ansel teaches with small things. He points out the way ripples break when they run into a hidden stump. He asks you to notice how the right bank seems closer by how wide it is in the reflection. He reminds you that the river is wider than it looks and gentler than it sounds. "We're close to a place that rings," he says at last, eyes still on the water. "At the bend where the river smiles, there is a village where people make bells. We'll tie up for the night." The word bells hangs in the air like warm silver. You picture them, large and small, thin-lipped and thick, tuned to the kind of notes that never hurry. Even the thought of them feels like a hand smoothing your brow. You take another sip of tea and let it rest on your tongue before it goes down. Your breath follows the cup, in and out, long and easy. Before we reach them, the captain adds, "Let's practice the reading. Tell me what the water is saying now." You watch. The reflection of a tall poplar is not straight. It bends like a ribbon at one spot. There's a soft pull to the left, you say, a shallow curve. He nods. Good. And that shimmer there, the one that looks like fish scale light? Shallow place, Tomas says, almost to himself. The captain nods again, pleased. Let the boat answer softly, sister murmurs. The river speaks in hush. The morning obeys. She was named well. She is a boat that knows how to greet things. The bend slowly opens ahead, a promise kept in slow motion. Beyond it waits the village, though you cannot see it yet. Maybe the fog rests there on roofs and bell frames. Maybe smoke lifts straight up from a chimney and makes no fuss. The thought is enough for now. Another breath. In, hold, and out, like a bell's fade into quiet. Your shoulders feel heavier and looser at once, as if they've been warmed by sunlight you can't see but trust. The deck is steady under your feet. The rail is smooth under your palm. Captain Ansel's hands are easy on the wheel, like a potter's hands guiding clay that already knows what it wants to be. We'll make our way on the next light door, he says, almost a whisper. Then the bells will find us. He looks to the river as if it were an old friend. They always do. The fog ahead turns thin as breath on glass. In the glow, the water writes a simple line. Come, come, come. You do not read it with your eyes alone. You read it with your lungs, your ears, the soles of your feet. The morning rides that line in a hush, and the hush slips into you. When the first faint chime reaches across the bend, so quiet you can't tell if you hear it or just know it. It feels like a nod from the day to the night, a secret handshake between those who keep watch and those who rest. For now, rest in this slow drift. Breathe with the fog. Let the river carry the edges of your thoughts downstream, where they soften and soften until they're only ripples, then only light. The boat is steady, the morning is kind, the bells are waiting, and they will not hurry you. The bend opens like a slow yawn, and the morning glides through the oval of light the captain calls a door. On the far side, the fog loosens itself into long ribbons that trail down the river's shoulders. Through the pale weave, shapes begin to take a patient form. Tilted roofs, timber frames, a squat stone tower with a cupola like an upturned bowl. The village does not announce itself. It appears as if you had always known it was there. Silvermore, Captain Ansel murmurs, as though greeting a neighbor from across a hedge. The place that listens to metal. His hands ease the wheel. Breathe with the bank. In, hold, and out longer. Let the exhale find the dock before your eyes do. You follow the guidance. A slow breath in through the nose. A pause that is more consent than control. And a long, warm release. As your breath lengthens, the dock does too. Its planks steady and welcoming, their edges softened by mist and years. A woman in a heavy apron steps out from the last post and lifts a hand. Her hair is streaked with moon gray and caught at the nape with a strip of linen. Her face carries the plain beauty of someone who belongs to her work. "Welcome, morning," she calls in a tone that never needs to rise to be heard. "Welcome, Ansel. You are in good time." "In good time," he answers, looping the line with a small, unshowy pull. The rope sighs against wood. The woman's name is Isolde, though the villagers also call her Aurelle, for the warm color that seems to rest in the bells she finishes. "Not because I gild them," she explains with a hint of a smile as you step ashore, "but because I coax the yellow back out of the alloy. Bronze likes to remember its sun." Mira, Tomas, and sister follow, their footfalls placing themselves carefully in the day. Isolde leads you along the river path, a packed earthen ribbon bordered by low stones. To the right, water slides past with its quiet shh. To the left, workshops open like pairs of hands. You smell clean metal, warmed clay, and the faintest trace of charcoal carried from last night's banked coals. No fire roars. Here, heat is a kept promise, not a performance. "Do you hear them?" Isolde asks. You pause. At first, you think the village is silent. Then the quiet opens like a flower, and you notice the small sounds that inhabit it. A soft tapping, regular but unhurried. A hum that fades and returns, as if someone is holding a note and letting it rest. The briefest thing, delicately rounded, almost shy. Do you hear them? "They're finishing the morning run," Isolde says, as if you already knew. "Tuning, touching, listening. We pour at dusk, then let the bells sleep. Morning is for waking them and deciding who they are." She brings you into a low, wide room with walls that remember heat. The bell frames are simple, upright, stout. On a workbench rests a cluster of small handbells, some no larger than a teacup, some wide as a bread loaf. Light from a high window travels down their curves as if water had been taught to shine. A man with careful posture, Corin, tilts a bell and rubs the lip with a sliver of waxed leather, then lifts a wooden striker. The sound he draws is not a strike so much as a suggestion, a coaxed hello. The note opens round and soft, blooms gently, then falls away like a feather settling. Mira's eyes soften as she listens. Tomas stands with his arms loosely folded, a woodworker's stance that keeps the hands ready to help but asks nothing yet. Sister touches the bell with 2 fingers, a blessing as simple as it is ordinary. Captain Ansel says the river writes in reflections, Mira says, voice low so as not to startle the air. Is tuning a bell like reading water? Isolde nods. You read what the shape tells you. Every curve is a sentence. Every thickness at the lip. Every thinning at the waist. You don't force, you persuade. Where the note doesn't want to be, you let it rest. Where it is willing, you guide. She takes up a tiny file and shows how she moves it, not scraping, but smoothing. The sound of the metal's whisper is tender, like cloth on a polished table. Captain Ansel stands near the door with the comfort of a man whose sea legs translate to every room with a floor. Water wants what the bell wants, he says, a path with no hard corners. Isolde laughs softly, more of an exhale with a smile in it. And humans, too. You notice that the room invites breath. The ceiling holds the warm air. The window spills the cool. You draw in slowly, as if you could drink the light, and release, as if the breath wanted to become part of the bell's fading ring. The note from Corin's striker lingers a little longer the next time, or maybe your listening does. The village day unfurls like a narrow ribbon unspooled. You follow Isolde through small spaces where other hands polish, measure, and brush. A child-sized mold sits on a shelf, empty and clean, a memory rather than a promise. There are no children in the workshop today, only the echoes of past apprentices who grew into patient makers. Outside, the fog rests against the edge of the square like a friendly cat. Somewhere, a kettle realizes it has reached its small goal, and a lid lifts with a feathered tick before settling again. Isolde sets a tray of cups on a low table and nods toward a bench. Sip and listen. Tea and tuning are kin. The tea is the color of late wheat and tastes faintly of pear and hay. You hold it in your mouth a moment longer than usual, and the warmth spreads down your chest in a slow, even thread. Corin nods permission to himself and strikes another bell. The tone arrives like a lantern being lit in a quiet room. It doesn't push, it simply allows the dark to be less. Thomas leans in, eyes narrowed the way people do when they are hearing with their hands. The wood wants to do the same, he says softly. A curve that tells strength where to sit. A join that encourages, not demands. Isolde looks pleased. There is a bridge between every craft. Sometimes it is built of quiet. When the sun has risen enough to make promises it intends to keep, the village settles into a gentle noon. Lunch appears without hurry. A brown loaf, a round of soft cheese, apples that taste like clean rain. You eat with the excellent hunger of those who have been breathing well. The table holds silence kindly, accepting small words the way a good bed accepts a tired body. In the latter light, Isolde walks you to the tower with the cupola. Inside, the big bells live. They hang in their frames like sleeping moons. Even their silence has a tone. You feel it in your ribs more than your ears. The steps up are shallow and kind. At the first landing, the air changes, cooler, thinner, like the inside of a seashell. We ask them for their names, Isolde says, palm on a bell's side, as if greeting a friend by the shoulder. Not to command, to learn. She uses a soft mallet to wake one, and the note that arrives is shaped like dusk, round, amber, generous. It neither startles nor hides. It is a voice used to speak in blessing and farewell. Breathe with it, Captain Ansel says, in as it rises, out as it falls. You do, and it feels as if the bell is teaching your lungs a familiar story you'd forgotten you knew. Evening leans in, slow and content. The fog that had wandered the paths now climbs roofs and edges, making everything a little nearer to everything else. Lanterns bloom along the riverwalk, haloed by the damp. The villagers speak in the soft grammar of people who trust the day to end well. We keep rooms above the clay house, Isolde offers. There is bread, and a soup that knows what to do, and blankets that remember shoulders. She says it like weather, not persuasive, simply accurate. Captain Ansel inclines his head in thanks. Your room is simple and exact, A bed with a thick cotton cover, walls washed with lime, a small window that knows the river even when it can't see it. You set your things down, and the floor acknowledges them with a polite creak. Below, the small life of a kitchen moves on quiet hinges. Before night settles, you walk again with the captain to the dock. The morning waits with the kind of patience that comes from being well made. Her lines are secure, her deck drying in pale patches. The river carries a sound like the inside of a seashell held to the ear, hollow, hushed, endlessly near. Today you read the doors, the captain says, voice a little lower now, meant for evening. Tomorrow you may read shadows and the ways they braid. The river teaches in layers. Mira touches the rail. The bells teach in layers too. They do, he agrees. They also forgive. You breathe in, and the air smells of river and bronze and warm bread. As you exhale, a small bell somewhere, perhaps in a courtyard or near a low gate, offers a single note. It does not ask to be followed. It offers a path, should you wish. Supper is exactly as promised. The soup is built on onions gone sweet and patient, with ribbons of greens and a handful of barley that knows how to be soft without losing itself. Bread opens under the knife with an easy sigh. You speak little, not from rules, but because quiet is the most generous companion. Sister smiles with her eyes more than her mouth. Thomas tells a small story about a table that taught him to wait for wood to show the grain it prefers. Mira draws one line in her notebook and leaves the page otherwise blank, a river in a single stroke. When you return to your room, the bells have decided on the night's voice. Not many, not often. A low one, far to the east, hums like a thought that makes sense even as it fades. A smaller one westward answers only sometimes, as if nodding in agreement. Their conversation is made of space. It is a soft architecture for sleep. Let the room become to you through the door, accompanied by the rustle of his sweater and the small weight of his step. Let the room become a boat, he says kindly, not as instruction, but as a shared habit. Lie back as if the mattress floats. Read the reflections on your breath. In, hold, and out longer, like a bell's gentle fall. You stretch out. The sheets have a cool honesty, then warm to your shape. The pillow understands your head, the way riverbanks understand the turning of water. Outside, the fog makes the lantern halos wider and the shadows softer. On the edge of sleep, Isolde's description opens again inside you. Bronze likes to remember its sun. You imagine your breath remembering its sun as it leaves you, each exhale carrying a small light that doesn't need to be seen to shine. The room, the river, the boat named Morning, the village of bells, each holds a note you can trust. In, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 1, 2. And out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The breath shapes you gently, the way a file shapes a bell's rim. No sharpness, no hurry, only easing into what was always meant. Somewhere down the lane, a bell offers one last good night, round and near and then not. A hush folds itself over doorways and oiled hinges. In that hush you float, half in the river, half in the room, wholly held. The night takes its place, the way a good blanket settles, without fuss, without edges. The village of Silvermore holds its breath in a long, contented way, and then lets it go in the soft chiming of distant bells. Your room is a quiet instrument. Even the floorboards have learned how to be still. Lie back. Let your body be the small boat called Morning, afloat on a calm inside you. Feel the mattress cradle your shoulders, your hips, the curve of your calves. A long, slow inhale, cool and easy, until the chest lifts like the river lifting to greet the moon. Hold that breath just long enough for it to greet you back, and then release, longer, gentler, a hush that unknots the air. Below your window, the river walks by on tiptoe. It says shh to the stones and to the reeds. Fog lingers in the lane, rounding every corner into kindness. You could open the window if you wished, only a hand's width, to let the cool drift across your face, like silk soaked in moonlight. Or you could leave it shut and imagine the air arriving, tender and complete. Either way, the room breathes with you. Captain Ansel passes once in the hall. A soft tread, the quiet tap of a knuckle on a door not yours, a murmur meant only for it. He is not a man who insists on being seen. He tends to the last small good things and then lets the night keep them. In your mind, you see him glance toward the river as he always does, as if saying, "We are in your care now." And the water nods in its wordless way. On your bedside table, Isolde has left a small saucer with 2 cloves and a curl of orange peel. Not for eating, for scent. It is barely there. You breathe in and find it only at the edge of the exhale, like a memory that smiles instead of speaks. Your body understands. It has recognized a permission slip to rest. Let the breath be the bell tonight. In 4, hold 2, out for 6. The in-breath gathers, the pause blesses, the out-breath releases. Each exhale is a tone that begins inside your ribs and then travels outward, softening the space between every thought until the thoughts themselves become round and quiet. A small bell far upriver begins its slow work. Not a call, not a count, just a note that sets a pace. It arrives like a pearl of sound, glows for a moment, then fades in a warm curve. You meet it with your breath, in as the note gathers, out as it fades. You do not need to keep time. Time will keep you. Mira's room is not far. Through the buttery hush of the walls, you sense the gentle turn of a page. 1 page only, and then the slide of a notebook back onto wood. Her sigh is a tiny ribbon. Thomas sleeps like a well-made table, square, stable, honest. Sister's prayer is the quietest thing the night holds, as thin and strong as a thread of silk. None of these sounds breaks the air. They embroider it. From the cupola tower, a deeper bell gives its answer, soft as a hand laid on your back. Its tone is dusk-colored, amber, honeyed, aware. You feel it settle in you where the breath meets the heart. There is no need to do anything with that feeling. Let it be a small lantern glowing where you keep your warmth. If the mind wanders, let it wander only to gentle places. It might drift to the boat's painted name, morning, as if morning were not a time, but a companion, faithful and unassuming. The boat's deck underfoot, the rail smooth where many palms have smoothed it. The captain's sweater, the soft weight of it. Mira's tea's pear and hay sweetness. The curve of a bell catches the light like a bowl of still water. You can set these small images down on the river inside you and watch them float. They do not ask to be kept. They are content to pass. Another breath. In. The chest rises like a shoreline at high tide. Hold. A soft blink inside the lungs. Out. Longer. Silkier. Like fog unlocking from branches and flowing on. The window frame makes a tiny sound as the temperature gently changes. Wood speaking its secret slow language. From far away, a cartwheel rolls once and stops. The day's last errand finding its rest. In the yard below, a cat takes a final step where the moss is thick, and then sits, tail tucked, face to the river's scent. Even its whiskers are quiet. Now the breath takes over the story. Slow, even, kind. In, a cool ribbon. Out, a warm bell. In and out, the boat called morning, rocking once and again, on water that will keep its promise until dawn. Sleep approaches not as an event, but as a deepening. You let yourself deepen. You let the bells be the last sound you notice, and the first you forget. The lungs go on quietly. The heart performs its gentle metronome. The room protects your edges until you have no edges to protect. You are afloat, anchored, safe. Drift now. Drift completely. The river is wide. The fog is friendly. The village dreams in bronze and light. The captain, somewhere near, stands a kind watch without needing to watch. Morning waits, patient and sure, a small boat with a name that always keeps its word. In, hold, and out, and down you go, silver smooth, into the good dark that understands. Good night.